What's good? Welcome in. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having a phenomenal week as the NBA Finals continue to roll on in what has been a really good matchup between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. The point of today's show: the NBA offseason is right around the corner. NBA draft June 23rd. NBA free agency coming up on the horizon as well. And there are so many great storylines to get to and big trade rumors around some really big superstars. So we start off on Donovan Mitchell. Are the Utah Jazz going to blow it up? That's one of the biggest storylines in the NBA right now, especially after head coach Quinn Snyder decided to leave the franchise, and now the Jazz are looking for a new head coach, and they're trying to determine, okay, do we want to rebuild or do we want to retool, and are we going to trade away Donovan Mitchell and or Rudy Gobert? So Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, not only does he do a great job with his NBA draft analysis, but he's tapped into a lot of organizations across the league, and he had some really good, solid reporting on what's going down between the Jazz and then some other stories that we'll get to on today's show. So Kevin O'Connor on Donovan Mitchell said this: teams around the league are already buzzing about who might pursue Mitchell. Maybe the New York Knicks, where Mitchell was born, or Miami, where he trains every summer. Both teams could certainly use a star, and both teams have assets. But any theoretical preferences of Mitchell's don't matter that much, given that he signed a 5-year max contract extension in 2020 and still has 3 guaranteed seasons remaining. Any young team with valuable picks and assets, from the Magic to the Sacramento Kings, could swing a trade for the star guard. Fascinating teams there at the back end of that snippet in the Orlando Magic as well as the Sacramento Kings. And we're talking about a player whose playmaking has gone downhill just a bit, but is still a very elite bucket getter. Now, if Donovan Mitchell wants to be considered an elite player, and I love how he works on his all-around game, he needs to be better on the defensive end of the floor. Offense isn't a question for me. Defense is a big looming question mark for D-Mitch. And Danny Ainge is basically running basketball operations now as the governor of the Jazz. And he has said, and it's his philosophy with the Jazz, now with the previously with the Boston Celtics, that no player is ever untouchable. So that could mean that the Jazz could trade away a Donovan Mitchell or a Rudy Gobert. Now, if you were to build your franchise with one, I'm going with D-Mitch. I'm going with the Spider. I think nowadays in the NBA, you win championships and you raise the Larry O'Brien trophy with elite wings as well as guards. But Donovan Mitchell, like I said, has to be a better all-around player, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Scoring is never a question. You look at the numbers to my right, he's efficient, there's volume there, and he's never scared to back down from the moment. He rises up to the occasion in the biggest of matchups, and he's had some really good playoff showings, so that's why teams out there like the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, maybe the Magic, maybe the Kings are going to be invested and look into a potential Donovan Mitchell trade, and to their luxury, he'd be under contract for the next couple of years. I want you to look into your crystal ball. I want you to get your boldest predictions into the comment section right now and let me know where Donovan Mitchell is going to play this upcoming season. Give me a team name in the comment section. I want to hear from all of you right now. From the Jazz looking to blow it up to the Portland Trail Blazers, who could be looking to build around Damian Lillard. According to Kevin O'Connor, once again, Blazers exploring trades for veterans who can help Dame. And they're looking for veterans of the star power variety. We're talking Zach Lavine. We're talking Bradley Beal. This, folks, really, really juicy considering Damian Lillard is on that roster. And if they get that big three of Dame, Zach Lavine, and Bradley Beal, they become a force to be reckoned with in the Western Conference. O'Connor on the Blaze. The Blazers have the 7th pick in the draft, so that's their most obvious asset to use in a potential deal, but they also have a bunch of young players that could be used in trades to accomplish the same goal, like the guy in the background, Anthony Simons. On top of that, Portland also has pathways to create max space to sign a major free agent outright. Bradley Beal and Zach Lavine are potential targets, according to league sources. Lillard befriended Beal through their experience with Team USA, and the Wizards star has a player option for next year, so he could make his way to Portland either as a free agent or via a trade. Though Beal and Lavine present some similar defensive issues as C.J. McCollum did next to Dame, either of them would undeniably make the Blazers better with their shot creation. So not only are the Blazers with new leadership in that front office and a second-year head coach in Chauncey Billups going after Beal as well as Zach Lavine. If they can't target those two superstars, maybe they go to that next tier. Really good all-around player in Jeremy Grant, who's ascended the last couple of years and has certainly worked on his overall game. Miles Bridges had a breakout year last year. Goes to show you the work that he put in the gym because he became a complete player and a dominant force. John Collins as well is a sneaky name to keep an eye on if the Atlanta Hawks look to tinker with that roster around Trae Young. Here are the Blazers' trade assets, in addition to Anthony Simons, who we already talked about. You have the 7th overall pick. You have a near $21 million trade exception. You can get rid of Eric Bledsoe, and that'll clear up about $4 million off the salary cap. Josh Hart is one of the better 3-and-D options in the league, in my opinion, because he's still young and he's a really good player. And the Blazers are also armored with a bunch of future picks as well. So you can combine all of these assets and collect them together to put them together in a trade package for some stars in the league, and also at the same time clear some money off of your books so that you could take on a big contract for Lavine or maybe Bradley Beal. Do you think Dame will have a bounce-back season? It was cut short because of injury, and his numbers were certainly down. I'm going to go ahead and submit my why for yes, but I'm fielding all of your responses in the comment section right now. Give me a why for yes if you agree with me. If you don't, then type your N for no. Make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports, our NBA content. It has been humming of late. Mock drafts every single week in the lead up to June 23rd's NBA draft. Free agency right around the corner, as I previewed off the top of the show. Our free agency coverage, the most watched on YouTube every single year. You don't want to miss a single second of what we're cooking up, so make sure you subscribe by hitting that red subscribe button down below, or let this video roll because we have a little bit left to get to, and plug in that link at the bottom of your screen. It's youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. Other NBA rumors to touch on. And these are NBA draft rumors. So there are a couple of teams within the NBA draft lottery that could look to trade out of their current picks and or move back in the NBA draft lottery. Get some future picks, maybe even a really good player for a desperate team that's looking to move up in the draft. So multiple reports out there that the Kings could trade out of 4. And I also want to touch on James Harden here. Kevin O'Connor saying he thinks that he's going to return to Philadelphia to team back up with Joel Embiid, to put him on the Sixers for an entire season to see what he can do and come back from that hamstring injury. But a surprise team that could enter the James Harden sweepstakes, it's the Sacramento Kings, who have not made the playoffs in about 2 decades. Now, my big question for James Harden, what player is he and who is he up to this point? Is he the guy who in Brooklyn certainly flashed? Is he the guy from Houston who back a couple years ago was a scoring champion and won a couple of MVP, or won an MVP and was in the running for a couple of MVPs? Or is he the player that we saw for much of his Sixers tenure who looked a little bit slow, lacking explosiveness as well as burst, and didn't have that first step? In the regular season, Harden was solid. When you look at the overall numbers of 22 points per game, 10 dimes, and nearly 8 rebounds, right? Shot 41%, though. That's a problem. So, too, is less than 33% from beyond the arc. And in the playoffs, the numbers went down a little bit, right? Points per game, 19. Assists, 9. Rebounds, less than 6. Field goal percentage, 40.5. And while the three-point numbers went up, you could see that James Harden was lacking in the athletic department. And we're talking about a player who has never been in the peakest form of shape and has never really shown the willingness to really work on his body like a Steph Curry with his conditioning level, or like a LeBron James, a bionic man who's been in the league for around 2 decades. If you made it this far, we'll see what happens with James Harden. I'd like to see the Sixers trade him away for a guy like Bradley Beal, but would the Wizards do that? We will see. A lot of movement potentially in the nation's capital with the Wiz. If you made it this far, that means that you're a real one. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Thank you so much for making Chat Sports a part of your day, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel.